Alexandra Eala's Cinderella story run at the Miami Open came to an end early Friday morning as the 19-year-old wildcard fell in a titanic semifinal against Jessica Pegula 7-6, 5-7, 6-3. Of course, I'm going to break this one down and explain how the match was won and lost, but I'm also going to talk about why this was Eala's most impressive match to date, even though she did not come out on top as the winner. And I'll preview the final between Aryna, Sabalenka, and Pegula and determine whether Jessica actually has a strong shot at beating the top seed. Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more Miami Open content. So the start of this match was very similar to how Alex's prior matches started, because she started extremely well and broke serve first before getting broken back. But Alex pulled some new tricks out of her sleeve that we had not seen from her before this tournament. Against Pegula, we saw more of Alex's braveness and eagerness to take charge whenever she saw an opportunity, and she came to the net a lot. And she has very good hands, actually, and also she's not afraid to go up and after that swing volley. And I think this is very promising for her future, because against Ostapenko, Keys, and even Swiatek, Alex was able to, one, redirect a lot of shots well because she enjoys the pace of shots from bigger hitters, but she was also able to take advantage of her last few opponents being very error-prone and sloppy at times. But against Pegula, this wasn't necessarily the narrative. In that main part of the first set, it was Alex being the aggressor in many of the baseline exchanges, and she was the one forcing the issue. Alex had to do this because Jesscia wasn't giving her as many unforced errors like Maddie or Iga were. Eala played an even bigger brand of first strike tennis here in this match, as she came up with some stunning down-the-line shots that left us in awe. From 2-all, Alex won 3 games in a row, playing, again, excellent tennis, and Pegula played pretty well herself, but Eala simply played the bigger points better and was able to get on top of those tight games. Alex looked in firm control of this opening set when she went up 5-2, and she had a set point at 5-3, but she definitely got a little bit tight as she double faulted on that set point at 5-3, and in fact she had 2 double faults in a row from set point up. Eala continued to play well though, and she forced a tiebreak where Jessica's experience was the deciding factor really, as the American was the steadier of the two and she claimed the first set. I expected Alex to honestly fade away in the second set because of course she came so close to winning the first set, a point in fact, and she double faulted. The match was on her racket, or the set was on her racket at least. And also this was the first set that Alex had lost on this run in Miami, and I thought that she would just be impacted both mentally and physically. Heavy on the physically because Alex, she did roll her ankle at the start of the second set, which she needed treatment for. Pegula, she got first blood too, and she broke to go up 3-1 thanks to her improving her own level, as she improved her depth of shot and she started going behind Alex more, which was a great winning play considering how Alex is a very good mover. But Alex is also a bona fide fighter, and she never went away in this match at all. She continued to play at that high level, and Alex broke back and went up a break herself 4-3 in the second set. But then Jessica pulled right back to break, and then she held, and she came within 2 points of the win, being up 30-love at 5-4. I think Alex was serving at this point. But at this point, Eala she just went all out with her aggression, and it worked, and she really peaked at this point. Eala just couldn't miss, and she won 3 games on the trot to force a decider, and this run was truly marveling and some of the best tennis that we saw from the 19-year-old, just truly stunning. But Jessica didn't get to her current world number 4 ranking and earn the title Mrs. Consistent for nothing. Like she did at the end of this first set, JPEG steadied the ship and she made a lot of balls while Alex started to barely misfire from the ground, and shots that were once hitting the line were starting to go long or in the net, especially in that final 5-3 game where she did hold a love 30 advantage. But again, big credit to Jessica because she played some very good tennis when her back was against the wall. Namely at 2-all, she was down love 30 in danger of going down a break in the third set, and that's the game I think that really turned it around for her as she rolled off 4 consecutive points to hold. I commend Jesscia for sure for still maintaining her cool for much of this match, because there are a lot of times where she just completely flubbed open court shots and many players would have lost it. Like a lot of people would have smashed their rackets, but she kind of let it go and she ultimately got the W in the end. So congratulations to her. Big effort on her to get the win. Now again, as I mentioned in the intro, I think this was Alex's best match of the entire tournament despite her losing, as she showcased again that incredible shot making ability to take balls early, especially the second serve of Pegula, as once again she was very successful in winning a lot of points off her own second serve return, Alex was. But Alex also showcased an ability to really mix things up even more so with her height, spins, and pace. And also, I mentioned earlier too, her ability to come to the net as well. I just think she's overall a very complete player. And she's dangerous, and it reminds me of how Coco Gauff used to be earlier in her career, of how she was able to beat opponents in many different ways and force opponents to play their not best tennis, like we saw with her Iga match and in her Madison Keys match. I was very critical too of Alex's serve because, of course, it is not the biggest by any means, but it was pretty effective in the semifinal, I feel, even against a good returner like Pegula is. And I thought Jessica made some interesting comments about Alex and her game and her serve, which I'll share now. She said, yeah, the serve is so tough. On these courts, it stays low, and it's really low, but it stays low and it's hard to kind of commit to what you want to do. I was struggling whether I wanted to step in, but then I didn't want to give her free points. I think next time I would definitely start off way more aggressive now that I kind of know and have a sense of how she plays. But I mean, she's just a really good player. She reminds me of Leylah Fernandez. She takes the ball super early, uses the angles very well, uses the line forehand really well, and competes and sees the court. She definitely takes the ball early, anticipates well, looks to move in. All those things are going to take her far. I think that's an excellent analysis from Pegula. I completely agree on all aspects, and especially the serve. I thought that was very interesting because her serve was effective, Alex's was, even though it wasn't that big. And like Pegula said, the courts are a little bit faster here. The ball kind of skids, and it gave Jesscia a lot of fits, honestly. Even though she wasn't really hitting many aces, she was still getting relatively a few free points, Alex was, just by how Pegula didn't really know how to handle the serve. Of course, we're wondering now what is next for Eala after this incredible run. She's now up to 75 in the live ranking, so of course she cracks the top 100 for the first time, which is incredible for her. And this is going to be big because she now gains direct entry into more big tournaments. And she already received a wild card for Madrid, I believe, due to her IGM ties and connections. But I think she'll get wild cards to pretty much most of the tournaments that she wants to be in because she's a bona fide star. Eala is a star. I'm going to get a little bit more into that later. But again, she has a lot of star power. I think with the way that she played, it was top 10 level, honestly. I'm not even kidding. It was unbelievable. The concern I have for her, though, is that will she be able to maintain this level for an extended period of time throughout her career? A lot of people, like Jessica just did, are comparing her to Leylah Fernandez. And Leylah, she's not a bad player by any means, a consistent top 30 player at that, which is good. Of course, nothing to be ashamed of. But Alex has talked about her ambitions of winning a slam and so forth. And I don't know if following a career trajectory like Fernandez's will get her there, being truly transparent. Leylah is still very young, by the way. She's only 22 years old, so I don't want to talk about her like she's some washed-up player. She's still very much an accomplished player, and she has a lot more years ahead of her. But the point being, the way that Leylah and seemingly Alex play, they just need to be on and having a lot of confidence and low-key treeing to have notable, consistent success. Alex's tennis, it's so incredible, but I feel like it'd be difficult to sustain that level week in and week out. And you also got to consider how the players that Alex faced this week in Miami, this whole tournament, they were not familiar with her game in the slightest. They didn't really know what to do a lot of times. But now I think coaches will have a greater blueprint and scouting report for Eala and better prepare their player on how to attack her weaknesses as she continues to play more players on the main tour. I think bare minimum, Alex will end up being a consistent top 30 player like Leylah. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if she did soar to greater heights and win slams and become a top 10, consistent top 10 player. But game aside, I must talk about what an incredible moment this was to even witness, talking about Eala's run to this semifinal stage in Miami. I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the most incredible things that I have witnessed in tennis in my days of being a tennis fan. We have never seen someone ranked this low, 140, with only 2 tour level wins to their name, come out and play like this and have such a run. Emma Raducanu is the closest thing that comes to mind in her US Open run, but even before the US Open, she did show promising signs with Wimbledon and making the 4th round. Eala didn't do that. Again, she only had 2 tour level wins to her name. And even more so was the impact that I've already witnessed and her bringing more Filipino interest in the sport. And I've seen all the comments on social media, and she just brings in such high engagement with everything that's posted about her. And she's just going to be a huge star. Nike really once again struck gold in signing her early on. And in this Pegula match particularly, Eala had a lot of Filipino support and a lot lot of Filipino fans were in the crowd for this one. And really, Alex had more support than the home American Pegula did, which is incredible. And that moment after the match really got to me, where we saw Eala like really embrace the crowd. I'm not even gonna lie, I got emotional and I cried. Like, I shed a few tears. And I still get emotional watching it, because just Alex showing so much gratitude to the fans and soaking the moment all in. She wasn't really sad at all. She was so happy and appreciative of the moment and her even getting this far. Like, she didn't do this for the rankings. She didn't do this for the final. She didn't do this for the Rafa Nadal Academy. She did it for herself, for her friends, and for her family, and for her country. It was so beautiful to see. Even just thinking about it now, I'm gonna get like a little bit emotional. I know I might be a little bit soft or weak or whatever. I'm an emotional person, but it just did something to me watching her. Like, just Alex just seems so kind-hearted, and honestly, how could you not root for her? How could you root against her? How could you root against a young woman like this? Like, and even though she didn't reach the final, Alex already won in so many different ways, and I again have to congratulate her on what she accomplished in Miami, and the best is yet to come, hopefully, for her. Now, unlike with Eala, Pegula will be the underdog in her next match. The finals, of course, against world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka played incredible tennis in her 6-2, 6-2 win over Jasmine Paolini, and Jasmine actually played very well in this match. She, I believe, committed 9 unforced errors and hit 19 winners, but that still was not good enough to beat Sabalenka. Aryna was just simply sublime. And being nitpicky, I guess Jasmine could have served a little bit better and varied her pace and height of shot a little bit more, but I don't even know if that would have been enough to take down Sabalenka on that day. Now, we are guaranteed to have a top 10 player finally win a big title for the first time this season, and we're wondering, who will it be? Will it be Aryna or Jessica? Sabalenka will be the big favorite, honestly, in this final, as she should be, as she not only has had an incredible week beating the likes of Collins, Zhang, and Paolini in straight sets, but she also has a very advantageous 6-2 head-to-head record over the American Pegula. And Big Lenka also won their last 2 meetings, which were on big hardcourt finals in Cincinnati and the US Open, both in 2 tight sets relatively. Jesscia hits with pretty good pace and is relatively flat of a hitter, but Aryna isn't too troubled by Pegula's game at all. And Pegula doesn't have a huge serve either, and I think Aryna really enjoys playing Jessica, simple as that. But Jesscia does have a few factors in her favor for this final. First of all, she is much more battle-tested than Sabalenka, as she's been pushed to the distance 3 times in this tournament, and she was able to find a way to victory each and every time, and I think that will be huge, and she raised her level when it truly counted. This would be vital for her and her confidence if things are pushed to a deciding set against Sabalenka. And Aryna, meanwhile, she of course won all her matches in straight sets in Miami, as she did in Indian Wells leading up to the final against Andreeva. Thinking back to that Andreeva final, her level dipped significantly in that 3rd set, and she wasn't able to match Mira's intensity, as Mira, she was more battle-tested heading into the final. There's also the possibility of Aryna suffering from a finals mental block, and I mentioned this immediately after she lost to Mira in Indian Wells, but back-to-back 3-set losses in finals can impact a player's confidence for sure. And I think it would be important for Sabalenka to try to win this in 2 sets if possible. Now, given my predictions, I once again have Sabalenka taking this one in 2 tight sets. I think Aryna will have a chip on her shoulder. She does not want to lose back-to-back 1,000 finals, as she actually has done that before last year, in fact, during the dirty double swing in Madrid and Rome, although it was against Iga on clay, so that's low-key kind of excusable. I think that Aryna will be very determined to avenge the Indian Wells finals loss, even though it wasn't to Pegula, it was to Andreeva. Aryna wants her hands on a big title again. But overall, I think Sabalenka has been the one that's been playing the better tennis clearly in this tournament, and I also feel like she'll have a little bit more in the tank here, as Jesscia again has had to work very hard in this event, playing some really tough 3-set matches. Honestly, whatever happens in this match is a win for me and my credibility, because before this tournament even started, I had Sabalenka and Pegula making the final, with Pegula taking the title. Now I'm here changing my pick to Sabalenka winning, so regardless of what happens, I got a prediction right, so a win is a win. A win is a win. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Let me know your thoughts on the Eala-Pegula match. Do you think it was the women's match of the tournament? I think it's right up there. Also, how do y'all see Alex's career panning out? Do you think that she will be a top 10 player or even a slam champion? And then 2, drop your predictions for the final between Sabalenka and Pegula. Make sure y'all subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post my post-match thoughts of the Sabalenka-Pegula final. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.